There it is. Episode 30.
30.
I'm not going to say we're back again because we just did one.
Right.
This time.
We're getting back in the groove. So I was, I watched some of these back. Oh, yes. Thank you. You're Adam.
I am
I'm
Adam.
Steve.
I'm still Adam. Yeah.
Thanks for remembering that.
It's good to be here.
Do you think people watch the beginning of that and
think
wonder,
so, yeah.
why is he clapping?
Well, it could be. Do you know why he claps? No, it's actually a little trick. Obviously, we edit it so the end of the song and the intro ends on the clap of the beat, but also it's good for audio sync up for content
You
building.
edit it. You're the master behind this.
I do edit.
You're the Wizard of Oz here.
Yeah. So it's kind of a dual thing there.
Yep.
Depending on what the title of this podcast is for episode 30, kind of a special one, a little bit of a milestone.
Yeah.
You might be thinking it's a little clickbaity, but there's a point to it.
Yeah.
So today is all about
Lay it on him.
sales and marketing.
Yep.
And how, if we want to be a little provocative here, sales is dead. Into this camera. Sales is dead.
Yeah.
Into this camera.
Yeah, that's pretty provocative,
Right?
Yeah.
So hit me with it.
It's a little bit of an overstatement. So, in this day and age where there's so much stuff that is transactional,
For sure.
right? You go to Amazon, it's easy,
Mm-hmm.
it's efficient, it's convenient, it's usually cheap. There are a handful of our customers that hate Amazon.
Yeah.
Because they're hard to deal with. They're the quality control and the sending stuff back, all that other stuff. They sometimes they find out that they're competing against their own product on Amazon. And
exactly.
somebody else is selling it cheaper than they do. So there's that transactional piece. Walmart started the whole thing a bunch of years ago. And then how do you combat the whole Walmart piece? What did Target do?
What did Target do to combat the whole Walmart piece?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I think they created a customer experience that's very different.
That grows with their customers?
Yes, they evolve with their customers. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep,
You should
exactly.
Tell them why you say that.
Well, okay, so we had
Give Leanne credit up in
yeah,
Fargo.
that's right. Leanne, if you're watching, or if somebody from
Yeah.
the Fargo business is watching, let her know.
Yeah.
I'll probably butcher the story, but basically it's we were doing some competitive communications training, and she talked about how when she was younger, she'd go to Target for certain things, right?
Yep.
Toys or,
Yes.
whatever it is. And then as she grew older, she went there for clothes, and
Yes.
then she became a parent. So for
food.
and school supplies.
Yes.
And then when her kids grew up a little bit and now she's older, guess what Target added? A liquor store. So it has gone with her in all her stages of life, where I don't know if you can exactly say that about Amazon necessarily.
Well, I think Amazon continues to be very transactional. I mean, it still blows my mind that you can get something that easy, that quick. And go ahead.
And another part of Amazon, though, that we'll touch a little bit on in this podcast is the aspect of brand with Amazon.
Yeah.
That is a whole other question, or that's a whole other kind of deal, because I think the brand of Amazon could not be stronger.
Right.
The noticeable boxes, the 2-day shipping. Everybody's got 2-day shipping now, but that's still an Amazon thing. It's like when you say you Google something, well, you might Yahoo it, you might, may just search it, period, but you're Googling it,
And we're still asking for Kleenex, even though that's a brand.
Exactly. So the Amazon brand could not be stronger, but sales-wise, very transactional.
For sure.
Versus someone like Target, who a little bit more of a customer experience, a little bit more of a relationship-driven aspect to their sales, marketing, and brand.
Yep. I also think about there was a great debate with one of our clients about car sales.
Yes.
There was somebody in the room that said, "Why would you ever go to a dealer again when you can just buy it off the internet? You can you know what the Blue Book value is, you know what the miles and blah 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 blah, and you can buy it from somebody online and not have to deal with a salesperson."
Yep.
And somebody else said that's ridiculous. I would never buy something off the internet. So,
Whereas here I am, I buy all my groceries and everything else off the internet.
Right.
I could literally not go into a store.
Right.
For maybe the rest of time, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know. Who knows?
Exactly.
But it's very much so 50-50. So when we say sales is dead, hit him with why we say that.
Well,
or why that's even a remotely questionable question.
Yeah, how could we even get away with saying something so outrageous?
Yeah.
Things are more transactional, but it's about this experience, this customer experience, the whole quality, service, convenience, and value piece and the experience. Is it easy? Do I feel good about it? That right? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
That
And I think back in the day, a lot of companies used to lump together sales and marketing. I mean, we still work with companies that are like, yeah, here's our marketing team. And in my mind, coming from now I'm a millennial, I'm 35 for a little while longer. And when I hear business say that, I'm like, all right, cool. The marketing team, let's, see what they're all about. And it ends up just being their literally sales rep team.
Right.
And I'm like, wait a second, that's a sales team,
right?
Not a marketing team.
Exactly.
And so it used to be sales and marketing lumped together. Now, at least I believe, and maybe there'll be a little debate here, but sales can be such a smaller subset or function of a business, whereas marketing and branding should be a way bigger function of a business.
Yeah.
I think they take a little bit of the whatever from
right. And
sales.
so at this point, a couple minutes into this this broadcast, why would we talk about this? The world of selling has changed. The world of business has changed. The transactions are up and so on and so forth. The big question that we have for anybody watching this is, if you're in business, how have you changed? What are you doing differently? How are you going to market to meet the needs and the changes that are already in place?
Especially if you have a traditional sales function to your business. If you have sales reps and sales managers, if you do door-to-door sales or you do direct sales in that regard, right? Obviously, as any business, there's always going to be sales because there's always going to be like a transaction. So there's going to be an element of that, but...
Yes. I think about just, and I'm doing this spontaneously here with you, when you think about like the last 90 days in our business, I don't think that there is any denying the results that we've delivered for many people that we've currently working with. There has been some moments where the quality of the interactions, right? That whole, them being the customer, the experience of how that happens. You know what I'm saying here?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's a challenge. And so as you think about, how can I take what these guys are talking about and improve myself, how do you know how well you're doing with the experience of dealing with you?
Yeah.
Right? You may be doing, living up to expectations, what's on paper, whether it's on the job, maybe it's being a spouse or a parent or a sibling, a child, a grown adult child or something like that. So you may be saying, I'm doing my part. But what is the overall experience of you doing your part? In other, that whole piece of the quality of the interaction and the exchange.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have a business that you're still doing sales with, how are those interactions with your customers, with your employee base? How is the interaction with your customer and your product and or service? I think, I think about DTC companies, direct to consumer companies, Dollar Shave Club or Olipop, or there's a lot of beauty brands and, there's like a light bulb company. I mean, there's so many DTC companies, but when you think about direct to consumer sales, a lot of it comes from marketing and advertising and branding, like brand awareness, right? If I say Dollar Shave Club, everybody knows who I'm talking about because they know that first, like, totally different commercial that they came out with that built their brand, but it wasn't like direct sales. Like, we have, razors on sale for, and we have a third member of the podcast coming in. This is Captain, everyone.
Yeah.
Hi, bud. And so when you think about, they're not doing, it's such a small, right? More of the budget, resources, whatever, goes to what I would consider those interactions with the customers, which I think is a little bit what you're getting at as well.
It is. And I think that one of the big reasons that we're bringing this up today is we're challenged with this at the moment, is the traditional ways, especially at 55 years old, some of the traditional ways of selling may not be getting the response, the return that it needs to get. And so is sales completely dead? No.
Yeah.
There's definitely a need, but how much effort are we putting into the overall the customer experience,
exactly,
the buying experience?
Yep.
How are we doing with branding, that whole emotional connection between product and service and customer?
Yeah, that's a really great point too.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So when I think about, okay, as Steve mentioned, a few minutes into this, and they're like, okay, maybe I need to shift my focus a little bit away from like these really direct, hard, traditional push sales and bring it back and say, okay, marketing and comms and strategy and social media and creative teams, how can we help and partner and influence with the sales team? Because I think, I don't want to go too much on a tangent here, but I think a lot of times businesses also struggle with the siloed approach of here's my sales function, here's my marketing function. They don't agree or they don't talk well together, right? So how can we shift some resources over to be able to have them mesh better together and maybe take some of the pressure off the sales team and say, how can we build our brand? How can we build this strategy? How can we focus more on those relationships and those interactions to where you create more promoters, you create more cheerleaders you create more first line of defense for your company, all of those things. And, loyalty and community are often words that are thrown around in the marketing world and the customer experience world, but there's a reason for that. Creating these really great communities of people that are very loyal to your brand because you care about those interactions. It's just not like, hey, here's my product, buy it. Okay, thanks for buying it. And then it's like, so I think, and even to, kind of niche down even further within the marketing and branding, if you're spending, 80% of your spend on the media buys versus the actual creative and the content that goes into what you're buying.
Yes.
Might want to think about flipping that and focusing on that more of what you're actually creating, because that is what's going to bolster that relationship. That's what's going to provide more value. That's going to bring up the relationship aspect of sales versus the transactional sales.
I think in addition to all of that, that you said, there's a change in the way that I think companies and individuals spend their time and resources. Mm-hmm. Product development is one thing.
Yes,
and
that
sales
is huge.
And salespeople, but what does the customer want?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Number one, who is your target customer? And I'm asking, any of you in business, who is your target? Do you know? And what makes them your target customer? That's who are they? And then once you have that identified, getting to know things about them. How did they come into contact with you? Why do they continue to make the decision in favor of you? What is it that you're doing that they truly appreciate? And then asking them, some of those, I think, fairly obvious questions for people that are in business. What are some of the crazy, outrageous things that you'd love to have from our product or service, or this product or service that you're not getting right now, regardless of whether it makes sense to do it.
Yeah, I think you nailed a really high point. I just want to say it a little bit louder for the people in the back. Finding out your customers' needs and expectations before you do anything.
Yes.
I talk about that when I work with, customers that are in, when I work with customers with CX or marketing. That's one of the things I talk about with both of them is find out the needs and expectations first. Because, when you said a minute ago, find out who your customer is and then what makes them your customer. I might even flip that. Find out what would make your good customer because of the product and service you sell. Like, is it because people want to put nails in walls, therefore your drill company wants to attract, you know what I mean? Like, almost do it in reverse, because you're going to find out, you're going to discover who your customer is or should be, right? You might be targeting the wrong customer. So to find out those needs and expectations or why people buy the product you buy might inherently tell you your customer.
And additionally, sometimes there are certain customers that are best for the competition.
Yeah, exactly. Which might be more important to understand.
Right. I mean, there is a competitive nature to selling, and you have to know who your customer is, and just as important, who your customer isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think about some of the stuff that we've been dealing with here in the last couple of weeks, and it's good for us to know.
Yeah.
There are people that, humbly, we just hit a home run. We walk through the door, we just kind of are ourselves, and people are like, wow, this is great. We've never met anybody like you guys, and so on and so forth. And there's the other people where it's like, what?
It's not
pay you for this?
Yeah, it's not vibing. We do, either we just want a regurgitation of what we want, or something like that, where it's like, well, there's a method to the madness. There's a reason we do what we do and why we do it, right? It's just like anybody who would have a proprietary software or proprietary, service or product, right? It's a specialty product because the market needs it, right? And that's why some brands grow huge and other brands don't really. So that product thing is actually a really, really good point, and is understanding, what we do.
So I think some of the big takeaways for today is
Yeah.
number one, no matter what your role is in life, business, personal, or whatever, who's your customer?
Yep.
Who is it? And how is their experience?
Exactly.
They're the only ones. They get to define it. You don't. Too many times we're running into people that manufacture sales processes, sales strategies, sales steps from the inside out.
Yes.
What works best for us to go to market? We can't do that anymore. We have to figure out, how is that customer buying? As much as people might not want to make it Amazon easy, that is the standard at this point.
Yep. So is sales dead? No, it's not. It's very much so alive in some regards, but is it different than what it historically, traditionally has been? Absolutely. So make sure you kind of reevaluate the resources and time and money and people and focus you put on a traditional sales function as opposed to your new brand marketing strategy, social media, brand building functions that focus on the relationships. So maybe it's safer to say parts of sales is dead.
Yep. The one thing that hasn't changed as far as sales is the more that in a selling situation, the more that the customer talks, the more they trust you. Asking questions at this point is in an effort to truly understand their situation. And when they better understand their own situation, it puts them in a position to make a good decision. And they always remember who helped them get that clarity. In the old days, it was a manipulative questioning process to lead the customer to a place where the salesperson wanted to be. So who's your customer? Ask them the right questions to help them better understand their situation. When they better understand, you better understand. And even if they make a decision in favor of somebody else at that point, they'll understand and they'll remember who helped them get that clarity in the first place.
Exactly. And that's the outline or the framework of how you build that loyal community.
You got it.
Brand. So, and how you can go take your business to be more relationship driven versus transactional salesy driven.
Yeah. Do you think it's safe to say that we hope we've sold them on rethinking their own sales?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe.
Yeah.
As always, we hope you take something from this and it has you maybe thinking about sales and marketing and brand for today. So,
and if all else fails, get a cute puppy in. And maybe you'll make an impact.
Rainbows, puppies, babies. I mean, you'll just get them all in here
You
next
got it.
time. I don't know if you can see them still, but
Yeah.
well, cool. Episode 30. Thank you, Steve.
In the books. Thank you.
Have a good one, guys. We'll see you next time.